Creation Day 5, Birds.
Birds are the true masters of flight.
This video is for the birds.
Did you know that 20 different kinds of birds are mentioned in the Bible? You may remember the raven and the dove that Noah released from the ark. You may be familiar with the rooster that crowed when Peter denied Jesus. The eagle is mentioned in 12 different verses, and 4 different kinds of owls are talked about in the Bible. Many other types of birds are also mentioned: hawks, herons, pelicans, sparrows, swans, vultures, and more. Birds play an important part on our planet, but where did they come from? Genesis 1:20 and 21 tells us, "Then God said, 'Let birds fly above the earth across the face of the firmament of the heavens.' So God created every winged bird according to its kind, and God saw that it was good."
Birds were created on day 5 of Creation Week, and on that day, God created an amazing variety of birds.
There are more than 10,000 different species of birds on our planet.
There are big birds, medium-sized birds, small birds, tiny birds, colorful birds, camouflaged birds, meat-eating birds, insect-eating birds, nectar-drinking birds, fish-eating birds, wading birds, swimming birds, running birds, soaring birds, long-legged birds, short-legged birds, birds that like marshes, birds that like open fields, birds that like forests, birds that like warm weather, birds that like cold weather, birds that like really cold weather, birds that like tropical weather, birds that like ocean shores, crested birds, foot-feathered birds, long-beaked birds, short-beaked birds, heavy-beaked birds, friendly birds, and angry birds.
Wait, I don't think angry birds is a real category.
Just making sure you were paying attention. Birds are unquestionably the masters of flight. Their graceful flight seems to be so effortless. If you see a mechanical flying device such as a quadcopter, the first thought in your mind probably isn't, "Look at those pieces of plastic, copper, lithium, and steel that randomly joined themselves together and became a graceful flying machine." No, you immediately recognize that it was created by intelligent people. It did not come about by random chance or accidents. Yet many evolutionary scientists believe that millions of years ago there were no birds, and that birds came into existence as a result of random mutations of dinosaurs. How many random mutations do you think would be required to change dinosaurs into birds? Thousands? Millions? We know that mutations sometimes do happen. However, mutations that result in improvements to a creature have never, ever been observed. Mutations are always bad. They always cause loss of function or death. The fossilized skeleton of a creature flaunted as being half bird and half dinosaur, named Archaeopteryx, has been used as a major icon of the dinosaur-to-bird transition for more than 100 years. But Archaeopteryx is actually nothing more than an extinct bird that has been preserved in a handful of fossils. Archaeopteryx was the size of a typical modern bird, had feathered wings like a modern bird, and a long feathered tail like a modern bird. Evolutionists latched onto it as a missing link because it had teeth, a long bony tail, and claws on its wings. After over 100 years of evolutionary hype, it is now widely agreed, even among evolutionists, that Archaeopteryx is simply a bird. However, it continues to be paraded before the public as a missing link in school textbooks and at museums. Some evolutionists believe that dinosaurs evolved their ability to fly by jumping out of trees. Others have concluded that the front legs of lizards grew feathers to aid in catching insects, and these feathered legs simply became wings. However, there is absolutely no evidence for either theory, so this is not science, but belongs in the category of fairy tales.
When you read stories about evolution, you should always ask, what is the evidence?
Artists are good at making nice-looking pictures, but drawings of prehistoric creatures are often just from the artist's imagination and based on little or no evidence.
We're going to talk about just two of the many awesome birds that God created. Both birds are commonly seen in the United States. After studying the unique design features in each of these birds, I'm quite sure you will be convinced that these birds did not just come about due to random mutations of a dinosaur.
The red-bellied woodpecker.
The red-bellied woodpecker is native to the Midwestern and southern regions of the U.S. Every part of a woodpecker's body is specially designed for drilling into wood. His short legs and powerful claws are absolutely essential for holding on tightly to vertical tree trunks. They are very different than the spindly legs of other birds. His specially constructed tail feathers are stiff enough to brace him securely wherever he grabs a vertical perch. The beak of the woodpecker is also very unique. Pecking away at a rate of up to 100 times per minute, the woodpecker's beak has to be much harder than the beaks of other birds. Even more special is the way his beak is connected to his skull. There is a resilient shock-absorbing tissue between the beak and the skull that is not found in any other bird. The woodpecker's tongue is barbed and is about 4 times longer than his beak. It wraps around the back of the bird's skull in a very unique design. The woodpecker uses his snake-like tongue to penetrate deep inside a tree trunk to ferret out ants and grubs. Besides his tree-gripping claws, stiff tail, powerful beak, shock-absorbing skull, and special tongue, the woodpecker also has a keen sense of smell. Together with his highly sensitive ears, woodpeckers can detect insects crawling under the bark of the trees they are scaling. Now think about it. If the woodpecker did evolve, can you imagine the obstacles the early ones would have had to overcome just to survive? It becomes quite clear even to the casual birdwatcher that no supposed prehistoric mutant woodpecker would have ever survived long enough to evolve into the marvel of God's creative genius that we see today.
The ruby-throated hummingbird.
The ruby-throated hummingbird is found throughout eastern North America. It is just one of the 300 varieties of hummingbirds found in the world. If you have ever watched the amazing aerial acrobatics of a hummingbird, you can't help but be amazed. The hummingbird is the smallest bird in nature, weighing less than 1/10 of an ounce. Its wings beat about 50 times per second, and its heart beats 1,000 times a minute. Its metabolic rate is so high that it must feed almost constantly. Built into this tiny bird is one of the most complex flight mechanisms known to mankind. These aerial acrobats can fly backwards, forwards, sideways, and can hover in midair. To maintain this high energy output, hummingbirds get their fuel from the nectar of plants, which is high in sugar. What would you say if someone told you they believed a helicopter evolved by random chance and there was no designer? Knowing there is no other bird or any other creature, living or fossilized, that even slightly resembles the amazing hummingbird, the sensible thing to do is simply admit that here again is another astounding example of our Creator's awesome design.
Genesis 1:21 tells us that at the end of Creation Day 5, God looked at what He had made, and it was good.
Everything worked perfectly just as God designed it to work.
And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." So the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Then evening came and another morning. God created all of the sea creatures and all of the birds in just one 24-hour day. He is truly an amazing and powerful God. Thanks for watching the Bible Brick Channel. If you liked this video, please click like and subscribe below. And check out our other videos. You can find links to all our videos on BibleBrick.com. That's Bible-Brick.com.